Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'm glad you could join us for this important topic, recognizing and responding to elder abuse. We have with us today Detective Michael Rosati from the New Jersey Medicaid Fraud Unit, who is going to talk about this very serious and important topic. We are recording this, so we will share the link with you afterwards. And we ask that you hold your questions till the end because a lot of them might be answered in the presentation, and then that gives us more time at the end to go over any of the questions you might have. And before I turn it over to Detective Rosati, would people please put it in the chat where you're from in New Jersey? So we just have a sense of who is here geographically. And with that, I turn it over to you, Detective.
Great. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. I just want to give a thanks to my hosts, so Dr. Kathy Rowe and also the New Jersey Advocates for Aging Well. So I'm Sergeant Michael Rosati from the New Jersey Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. For those of you who are not familiar with our office and what we do, that's actually great. Because my first goal for this presentation is at the end, when I'm done talking, is that you will be familiar with our office, what it is that we do, and specifically our role in combating elder abuse and crimes against seniors and older adults. My other goals include being able to identify key signs of elder abuse, whether it's targeting yourself, a friend, a loved one, somebody that you are in charge of caring for. Also, my hope is that you'll be aware of how and where it's best to report concerns that you may have. And then lastly, my hope is at the end of this presentation, you will be familiar with several current fraud schemes that are specifically targeting older adults. So a little bit about our office, the New Jersey Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. Our core mission is to protect Medicaid beneficiaries and the Medicaid program from fraud, waste, and abuse. But that's not all that we do. As you can see here, I have one on there. One main topic of our investigations is Medicaid fraud, so fraud against the Medicaid program. But we do also investigate crimes that involve elder abuse, whether it's patient or resident abuse or neglect, when it takes place in a healthcare facility or residential treatment facility. Our office is jointly funded by the state of New Jersey and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to address crime that impacts these two areas. We are a state law enforcement agency. Specifically, we're part of the New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice within the Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor. So what is fraud? Simplest definition that I've heard for fraud is it's telling lies to steal money. So specifically, when you have a fraud scheme that is targeting healthcare claims, it's intentionally submitting false or misleading information to obtain unauthorized benefits or payments in the healthcare system. So again, in our cases, this is looking at the providers themselves. So whether it's a doctor's office, a pharmacy, a medical service provider, when they're billing for services that they did not perform, falsifying diagnoses to justify unnecessary procedures, upcoding, which is falsely billing for a more costly service than what you actually provided, unbundling, when you take something that a procedure has included with it, and then you individually bill each part of that procedure, kickbacks for patient referrals. So again, exchanging cash, goods, and other things to steer patients to your practice or to a partnered practice, prescribing unnecessary medications or medical supplies, and then forging or selling prescriptions. So what does that mean to you? So false claims can be submitted under your insurance. So I understand that individuals in this audience may have their insurance through a number of different means. So private insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. These schemes often target a broad range of insurance payers and use you and your benefit to accomplish their fraudulent goals. So some areas of particular concern, at least now, and these are ever changing, are false claims involving durable medical equipment or DME. So devices, supplies that were never ordered and or never actually received. Unnecessary or excessive services, so medications that you don't need that just mysteriously arrive at your door, or that are ordered for you or billed without actually arriving at your door, tests and procedures that don't make any sense for the conditions that you may actually have or for treatment that you've received, services billed but not performed. Beneficiaries, so the insured, the individuals, are necessary for these schemes to take place. But sometimes they're completely unaware of their participation if they haven't received or haven't read an explanation of payment or explanation of benefit. They may be completely unaware that they're involved or implicated in these schemes. So just a couple of notes on Medicaid. So in 2024, New Jersey's Medicaid spending was estimated at over $22 billion. That's billion with a B. This covers roughly 2.1 million residents, including half the children in the state. So when a criminal, somebody looking to commit fraud, wants to steal from the Medicaid program or really any insurance provider, it's not the same as robbing a bank. They can't just walk into an insurance office or a Medicaid office with a gun demanding money. They have to find a way to steal through fraud. So again, going back to that simple definition, telling lies to steal money. Many in this audience, as I've said, will have their insurance through other means, again, but it's often found that these schemes are broadly applied to private insurance, Medicare, Medicaid across the board. So our office is the host and founding member of the Elder Protection Task Force, sometimes called EPTF. And through this collaborative effort, we are able to receive, review, and refer cases and complaints relating to elder abuse. Even if we aren't the right agency to open up a criminal case on a complaint, we can often guide or refer the matter to the right place. So again, this is, if you refer back to at the beginning when I talked about the two main categories of cases our office handles, this would be the second, dealing with elder abuse. So the office is located within the New Jersey Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. There are several state agencies that cooperate within this task force. That includes the Office of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman, the Office of the Public Guardian, the Department of Health, and the Division of Consumer Affairs. The EPTF investigates and prosecutes elder abuse, including financial exploitation of patients who are located or residing within healthcare facilities or other types of boarding homes. The EPTF utilizes attorneys, investigators, detectives like myself, as well as civil investigators, nurses, auditors, and other support staff to help combat elder abuse. So these cases, you will occasionally see them in the news, whether they're handled by our office or one of the other county prosecutor's office. But you will see press releases from time to time on these cases. The one highlighted here is actually a case that I personally handled, and it's a somewhat recent case. In this particular case, a certified home health aide and a CMA, so certified medication assistant, who was also an LPN, were indicted and then later pled guilty to 2 counts each of neglect of an elderly individual in the 3rd degree. In this particular case, facility video captured the defendants tying a then 93-year-old patient to a reclining chair on multiple overnight shifts. The patient, who suffered from dementia, was confined to the chair for several hours, and the defendants were observed napping, playing on their cell phones, while the victim struggled to get free from the restraints. So again, these are cases that do end up in the news, so keep an eye out for them there. So getting into elder abuse as far as topics and some of the warning signs, according to the U.S. Department of Justice and the Department of Health and Human Services, 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 60 has experienced elder abuse or neglect. So it's a priority justice issue for everyone. It affects communities on many levels, from public health to civic participation, as well as impacts on economic resources for those that are affected. So the mistreatment or harming of an older person, which is the broad definition of elder abuse, it occurs in both community and institutional settings, and it takes many forms. We're going to go into them in a bit more detail, but generally, it's broken up into financial exploitation, physical abuse, emotional/psychological abuse, sexual abuse, and neglect. And it's unfortunately believed that elder abuse is widely underdetected and underreported. And what you'll often see is that there's usually not just one type of abuse taking place. They're often intermingling, and multiple types of abuse are occurring within the same circumstance. So, a 2017 study estimates that about 15.7% of people aged 60 and older are subject to some form of abuse yearly. But again, this is believed to be an underestimation, as only 1 in 24 cases of elder abuse are believed to be reported. This chart just kind of shows a breakdown of the types of reported abuse. Some additional statistics: elder abuse can happen at home. It often does. 90% of abusers are family members, adult children, spouses, partners, but it can also be neighbors, people who come into the lives of an older person, a friend, something of that nature. Elder abuse can also happen within institutions. So 36% of staff have reported witnessing some form of physical abuse. 10% have committed physical abuse themselves, and 40% have committed some form of psychological abuse. And just want you to sort of think, because it is a recurring theme here, that this is an underreported issue, and just think to yourself some reasons why that might be. So again, it's estimated that only 4% of elder abuse is reported. Some of the common, reported reasons for withholding complaints or not bringing complaints forward is a fear of retaliation, especially if the abuser is someone whom the victim relies upon, so a caregiver, family member, somebody who they depend upon. They're less likely to feel empowered to come forward and report the abuse. Same thing for worry about getting the abuser in trouble. We can imagine if it's a family member, a child, especially grandchild, niece, nephew, they have concerns about getting the person in trouble. The victim may be mentally incapable of, relying upon the facts, dates, so they may not be able to make a well-formed complaint about what's going on. And then lastly, and I think this is a big one, it's a common one that I've seen, is just this a feeling of being ashamed or embarrassed, not wanting to appear weak or vulnerable, or fear that if they bring it forward, will further embarrass them or make things worse. So I encourage you or anyone that you're caring for, if you're aware of concerns, please report them. If you see something, say something. It's normal for anyone to feel embarrassed when they are the victim of fraud or abuse. But dealing with the issue alone or hiding or ignoring it often just makes things much worse. So some of the signs to be aware of elder abuse. So common things for physical signs of abuse: broken bones, bruises, welts, untreated bed sores, torn, stained, or bloody underclothing, STDs or STIs without a clear explanation for how they are contracting them, dirtiness or general poor nutrition or dehydration, poor or substandard living conditions, lack of medical aids such as glasses, walkers, dentures, hearing aids, or medications. And then if the individual appears to be over or under medicated, that can be a sign of ongoing abuse. Some signs of emotional or behavioral distress that can be indicative of abuse: unusual changes in behavior or sleep, fear or anxiety where it wasn't present before, isolation from friends or family. And this can often be intentional by the abuser, where they try to isolate their victim to gain more control over their finances or to keep them from reporting them or getting them in trouble. Withdrawal from normal activities that the person typically, likes to engage in, and then just a general sadness. Financial signs: unusual changes in bank account or money management services. So like the suspicious adding of a new friend onto an account, or someone who hadn't previously been a cosigner, all of a sudden becomes a cosigner without a good explanation. Unusual or sudden changes in a will or other financial documents. fraudulent signatures on financial documents, and unpaid bills. So if you have somebody who was, like clockwork, was always paying their bills on time, never missed a payment, and all of a sudden their bills are going unpaid, that could be indication that somebody either has taken over their finances or has depleted their finances, and the person is no longer able to meet those obligations. So those are some common signs. Um, so it's important to remember all emergencies must be reported to 911. So I'm going to give you a lot of physical contacts or more area specific contacts or issue specific contacts. But when in doubt, if there's an emergency, if somebody's in danger, your first call should be 911. These are your more local contacts. So, and it's important to remember you don't need to prove that abuse is occurring. It's enough for you to just have a concern or a suspicion. It's up to professionals to investigate allegations of abuse. So making a report or reporting your concerns, it's always the right thing to do, and it's very easy. So if the concern is taking place with an older adult who lives within their community, so they're still living at home in their apartment, they're not in a hospital, rehab center, they're not in a facility. Adult Protective Services it should be your first call with a concern. So they advocate for those individuals who are living in their community, and it's specific by county. So Burlington County will have their own telephone number and outreach versus Camden County or Mercer County or Hunterdon County. And the Protection Task Force, so our group, that's our phone number there. Again, we can be sort of like a switchboard for any concerns about abuse. If it belongs with the county, we can refer there, or we can take the information and pass it along. Or if it's something that our office can handle, we certainly can take the complaint directly. And then the other number up there is for the Long-Term Care Ombudsman. That's the office that advocates for the rights and the well-being of individuals who live within some sort of residential treatment center. So again, those nursing homes, rehab centers, boarding homes, the long-term care ombudsman has investigators to make sure that there's not patient rights issues or that the rights of the individual are not being violated within that institutional setting. There's also a telephone number there for an elder care locator, as well as a website where you can find more specific information unique to your geographic area, so no matter where you are in the state. So in addition to notifying our office, the ombudsman or APS, there may also be an appropriate licensing agency that you can contact if the abuser has a license. So again, in those situations where it's a nursing aide, a home health aide, somebody who's a professional caregiver or a medical provider, you can make complaints about their services or their care directly to their board. So physicians, it would be the Board of Medical Examiners. Nurses and home health aides are under the Board of Nursing. Facilities, there's a facility licensing and inspection office within the Department of Health. And then PCA or certified nursing aides have a licensing and certification body. Another great resource that I would encourage you to look into on this topic is at the Department of Justice. The U.S. Department of Justice has an Elder Justice Initiative. They have a really great website, so it's there at justice.gov/elderjustice. It's a great resource for information and updates on the topic of elder abuse. Their website includes case studies, videos, articles, press releases, and public notices relating to the broad topic of elder abuse throughout the country. So it's really something I encourage you to take a look at. All right, so moving on to our next topic, and this is one we get a lot of questions on, is scams. So one thing to just before I play this quick video is, think to yourself, what is a scam? And is a scam that targets an older adult the same thing as abuse?
How do I steal people's money? You got your free lunch scam. Get in on this opportunity right now. Plus, you get a free lunch. Your sweetheart scam, grandparent scam, those are exciting. Hello, Grandma? I'm in jail in Tijuana. They're telling me I need $3,000. Or if I'm feeling old school, I could just jump in your garbage, come up with a credit card bill. Ka-ching. I'm now you.
Visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network to learn how to protect yourself from identity theft, fraud, and this guy.
All right, and that video was courtesy of our friends over at AARP. One thing I want you to think is, are scams and elder abuse the same thing? Um, and I would say not always. There's often similarities and overlap, but there are also key differences, both practically and legally speaking. Scams and elder abuse often need to be reported and handled somewhat differently. So with a scam or with financial elder abuse, you know why are older adults being targeted? The straightforward answer is that often they have what criminals want. They're more likely to have savings and retirement accounts, more likely to own a home or have equity in a home, more likely to have excellent credit ratings. Uh, they assume that they will be polite and trusting. There's an assumption that they will not report the crime due to embarrassment or threats. They assume that the individual will not testify against them. They may believe that they're more accessible because they're more often home, may have time to talk or engage if they're retired, and they may believe that you may be seeking companionship if you're a senior. Unfortunately, the reality is that criminals continue to target seniors because they've had success in the past. Um, so there are a multitude of different scams and all different flavors that are taking place across the United States, even internationally. As such, our federal counterparts, including the FBI, are often on the front lines of investigating and addressing these particular crimes. So to give credit where credit is due, actually, the next couple of examples of these types of scams going on came from a presentation I did with a special agent with the FBI by the name of Steve Rich, who's really kind of an expert on the topic. There's an advanced fee scam in which a victim will pay money to someone in anticipation of receiving something of value in return, like a lottery winning, a sweepstakes, something like that. Romance scams, in which a victim will believe the person on the other end of the scam really cares for them and is requesting them to send money because they're in need. Investment fraud, and this is often tied to the romance scam, where the victim will invest in opportunities, property, businesses, in what appears to be a good deal. We see this a lot with cryptocurrency. Telemarketing fraud, where a victim will provide information to someone portraying to be their bank or the government or law enforcement or some other legitimate person or authority. Phishing, if you've not heard the term before, it's an attempt to gain private and personal information from you, usually from an email or some type of outreach. So you may get an email from your bank, from Amazon, anything that the perpetrator thinks you might open. They'll disguise it to look legitimate. Real entities have established policies about what information they're going to request over the internet or by email. So these scams kind of prey upon people's lack of understanding that. And it's always best to find an independent telephone or number or website to call. So if you get outreach from your bank, contact them on your own. Don't respond to the phone call from somebody purporting to be from your bank. Mass marketing emails will come that appear to be personal. These are a huge red flag that it's an attempt at phishing. And if you respond to any of these in any way, even if you say, hey, don't contact me, stop sending me these, they're going to push to develop a relationship with you and try to build trust. There's an increase in AI usage in this scheme. So they no longer have to program a bot. They can just ask AI to try and accomplish a particular goal. So that's an unfortunate development that's making these schemes more prevalent and more convincing. Common elements to any of these types of schemes or scams are social engineering, so trying to engineer a response from you that they want. Legitimate authority, so that's where they appear to be, like the government, a law enforcement agency, or a bank. Urgency, they will usually create a sense of urgency, like you have to act now, or some XYZ will happen. This is to override your better judgment. There's often grammar or errors or unusual language because, again, these are often originating overseas. Spoofing using email and telephone numbers that appear legitimate, but they're actually just disguised. And then they'll often ask for alternate methods of payment. So payment from green dot cards, crypto, Bitcoin, gift cards, international movement, things of that nature. If it seems too good to be true, it's generally too good to be true. Just a quick example here. I don't know if anyone's heard of, seen on the news, or had a friend experience this where there's like a simulated computer lockout on your screen. This is kind of old, but this scheme is still going around. But just to demonstrate all the things I talked about, the warning signs before. So if this pops up on your screen saying your computer's been compromised, you're locked out. Look at all the things we talked about before. Legitimate authority, so making it look like this is coming from a real legitimate authority, in this case, federal law enforcement. Alternate payment methods. So again, not asking for, I can't imagine that these legitimate entities would ask for payment via money pack, but again, it's asking for this alternate suspicious payment method, and then a sense of urgency. You will have a permanent lockout if you don't take action by this date and time. So again, these elements are usually repeated even in the more modern schemes. This is kind of an old one. So again, getting back to reporting a crime, or even if you are concerned that you or someone you know has been a victim of a scam. So your local police department, obviously they're your first responders. So 911 or your local PD for an immediate response, county prosecutor's office for those, crimes taking place within the county. New Jersey State Police does have a financial crimes investigations unit. And then our agency, the New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice, does have a financial crime section, our office, and then for private insurance matters, there is the Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor. At the federal level, there's a lot of places to report your concerns there. So again, for those potential scams that may be happening in multiple states, the Federal Trade Commission's website is a great resource, and they have a reporting tool there. Sorry, that's on the board twice there. Apologize for that. And then the FBI operates ic3.gov, which is the Internet Crimes Complaint Center website. They gather information on email, phone, and internet-based scams. So chances are the scam that you're seeing now, they've already gotten other complaints about it, and may have agents already assigned to look into this particular issue. So crimes that are taking place across state lines with large impact are handled by the appropriate federal agency for them. Okay, so that is everything that I have on these topics. Again, I'm going back to my original goals. I hope you've learned a little bit more about what our office does and the types of cases that we handle, and that you have a few more tools in your tool belt as far as where to report crimes affecting older adults. And maybe you feel a little bit more confident in recognizing those signs again in yourself, your family, loved ones, and people that you may be taken care of. This is my contact information on here for my office. So our main email address is the best way for receiving like complicated technical complaints. That's that njmfcu@njdcj.org. So we do receive, it's like a centralized repository for all the complaints that come in by email. We do also have a telephone number. It's the same number for the Elder Protection Task Force, but we will take complaints and referrals by telephone at that hotline number. That's 609-292-1272. And then our fax number is at the bottom if that's needed as well. So again, before I turn it over to Q&A, I just again wanted to thank you all for joining and thank my hosts again for having me.
Thank you for doing this. Do you want to stop the share just in a minute so that people can more easily ask questions? And I have a question to start with.
Sure.
You said the warning signs are, bills not paid or changes in will, and I'm just wondering how would people even know that's happening? Um, what are signs to look out for that there's changes in some of those financial things that you noticed early on?
Yeah, and it really does. It depends upon the case, and usually we're getting complaints from either a family member who stumbles upon this when they become more involved in the person's
Okay.
life and they realize historically what's changed and what's happened.
Okay.
Um, So, the bank will report suspicious activity. So we have gotten complaints from banks.
Oh, okay.
Add, a person is added as a power of attorney with suspicious documents. Like they will internally, try to vet that and make a complaint. Um, so it is kind of case by case, but I would encourage if you've got a person you're concerned about, um, you know, ha either have them go with you down to the banking institution and just inquire, hey, has there been any changes on their account? That would be kind of my recommendation.
Okay. And banks, like if a bank sees somebody, the staff could call report directly if they see
Yes.
something suspicious. Okay.
Yep. Yep. And they do. We've had many cases where that has taken place, and they'll remark on the file, they'll notify, where there's been a suspicious change in power of attorney. Unfortunately, they can't catch all of them, and some of them appear legitimate. Or if you
Yeah.
have the person convinced that they want to, they really can't stop the
Hmm.
banker, from adding whoever they want to their account.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions they want to ask? You just want to take yourself off mute, or you could raise your hand and I can turn off your mute. I think that means you answered everything.
All right, I'll take that. Again, yeah, if something comes up, you just don't want to put it out here, but it's something I said triggered it, a question that you have, or if you have a particular complaint, that email address, that NJMFCU, so for New Jersey Medicaid Fraud Control Unit at njdcj.org. Feel free to send concerns or questions to that address. It's a great way to reach us.
Okay. And we're going to share this recording with you. Please share it with others. We're also going to post it on our website so you can direct other people to it. But thank you for joining us. I'm sorry that we have to actually have presentations like this and talk about this, but it's better to be safe and protect as many people as we can.
Sure, I
All right.
agreed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.